What is Ellen Trechend? A three-headed monster hell-bent on destruction and decadence? No, we must dig deeper than that. An intelligent godlike creature that lives in the void but hungers for ultimate power over our dimension? Closer, but we're still missing the point. Ellen Trechend is a beast that looks to conquer dimensions and lay waste to everything in its way. This is a creature that wants power and control to rule over all, but the rule is really just an excuse to torture and destroy. The three heads can be likened to three symbolic character traits, the embodiment of greed, wrath, and hubris. Ellen Trechend believes it is everything, the epicenter of life, and therefore it hates anything it deems to be a waste. Civilizations crumble in its fury because their group work and tenets of kindness and love overshadow any bad traits a society might have. And of course, the lust to rule over everything and laugh at the misery it inflicts. If you're kept alive, it's to be its toy, its plaything. And it wants to be on the throne of its own making to watch the disease and decay so it can swim in its wake. Luckily, the dimension Ellen Trechend arrived in was ours as it crashed into our world through the portals. We stopped it, sending it back to the void. But the timeline was altered, corrupted by chaos. The sentence of motion changes that only I can see as queen. Those seasons of beasts came to our world not once but twice, each time fracturing the space between dimensions and the void. Ellen Trechend's essence was able to bleed into not just our world, but others, including on Earth, your dimension. Nightmares and folk tales always have a hint of truth in them. Always beware. We stopped this beast the first time by using relics of seasons of beasts corrupted in the shadows of first attempt to destroy our dimension and stop the Aishi. The relics give off strange energies, wavelengths hidden within the shadows hold that we were able to use against them. These energies are pure chaos, but I was able to bind myself to them and control them. By themselves, these energies are useless, just a side effect of the corruption. But with them bound to me, I was able to weave them into the consciousness of the Aishi and activate them. When Ellen Trechend thought it had a world for itself, I mentally took hold of each artifact, crossed the energies and blasted them back through the portals. The chain reaction reopened the void and sucked everything back in, forcing seasons of beasts to flee and ending the terrible potential reign of Ellen Trechend. Things are a little different this time, though. Ellen Trechend learned the green bull and its ties to the Elder's powers, while the shadows helped to free it from the void. Ellen Trechend now wants to steal the trophy and use its power to open up all dimensions. It will not stop until everything is destroyed, but I've left a failsafe. Through my own visions, the relic's strange energies are no longer tied to me, as my powers limited my attempt to escape. Ellen Trechend will use me as a puppet to open our world, so I must be found. I must stay hidden. Instead, with my seals and the 12 who find themselves in these areas, it will be up to you and your minds. The energies are tied to you now, and together you can find the right combination to once again blast the power through the portal. Ellen Trechend arrived and sealed the beast back in the void. It should heal the Aishi and end the schism, and protect the timelines from further corruption, at least in theory. But I do not know the correct combination. It depends on how the energies have reacted with your fantasy dreams. Those with 4 victories at your home areas will be tasked to lead the offensive. Banditos del Rio, remember the Titans, the clash at Demon Head, and risky business. The rest of you can concentrate through their power, and Mario should be able to harness it and blast the energies into the portal. But it won't be easy, as the Elysian Ellen Trechend will look to break our will. But Ellen Trechend made one fatal flaw when it returned. It underestimated the power of the greatest fantasy football league in human history, a dream priest and a shadow brigade member. Remember, the power is always in you.
Welcome to the quest for the Green Ball, Òrdugh Truaillidh, and welcome to the final week of the regular season with a lot still on the line as we're heading into the playoffs. We unexpectedly did have 2 division titles and both first round byes clinched this past week based on all of the results, though the top seed is still up for grabs. We also had another team clinch a playoff berth and 2 teams switch positions in the playoff picture. But 1 division title and 2 wild cards are still up for grabs, along with seeding and final quarterfinal matchups. So there's a lot going on. And first round byes are still on the line in the consolation bracket as well. The biggest thing is that at the moment, all but 2 teams, the defending champion Elite Mother Tuckers and Green Acres, made the playoffs last season. And we have the potential to only have the 1 returning team with Green Acres if the Elite Mother Tuckers are left out. Of course, we had several big victories last week, but one of the biggest was in the Wetlands of Arawn division in our last as Green Acres travel to the forests of Fial to take on Risky Business. This one was not in question following a rough Thursday result for Risky Business, and some huge underperformances led to a blowout for Green Acres, 118.36 to 84.8. The win clinched a first round bye and a division title for Green Acres, while Risky Business now still has a lot of work to do to make the playoffs. It was the 3rd division title for Green Acres in his career, so congrats to Green Acres on that awesome accomplishment. Tyreek Hill continues to be a stud that probably should have been picked higher in the draft. He had 153 yards and 2 touchdowns, including a 50-plus yard score. Brandon Cooks scored again as well, and the Falcons' defense was solid with 4 sacks and interceptions, 2 fumble recoveries, and only 6 points allowed. C.J. Stroud also had 274 passing yards and a touchdown. Joe Mixon did well with 117 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Christian McCaffrey continued to shine with 133 yards and a score for Risky Business. Kyler Murray and Cortland Sutton also reached the end zone, but in the end, a 0 by Terry McLaurin hurt badly, and Gibbs also struggled again. Another difference was with the highlighted players. Kyron Williams had another solid game for Green Acres with 112 yards and a touchdown. And the Cowboys' defense, though, they had one of its worst games of the year with just 1 sack, 1 interception, and 35 points allowed to Seattle, which was not expected. That was not what Risky Business needed if he was going to get this win. They fall to 7-6. Green Acres is 9-4 and is guaranteed a trip to the semifinals. Has to feel pretty good.
Hey guys, so back in week 1, I was up against Risky Business. I was doing pretty good. Had maybe 15-point lead going into Sunday night. And then I got smoked by the Dallas Cowboys defense. I got 40 points. What is it, week 13? Week 13, and Dallas Cowboy defense is, I'm back up against risky business. Cowboys defense is on Thursday night, so I get a preview of what I am up against. They go down in flames to get -2, so I was thinking it's going to be a good week, and it was.
We also had some more celebrations across the league and some results that set up some essential play-in games next week. So let's get to everything else in the best of the rest. Wetlands of Arawn battle, the defending champion Elite Mother Tuckers traveled to take on the Siamese Dreamcats in a fairly competitive matchup. The Elite Mother Tuckers were too much in the end for the Cats, though, in a 115.68 to 91.56 win. The difference was DK Metcalf and his 134 yards and 3 touchdowns, including a 50-plus yarder. Trey McBride added 89 yards in a score, and Cooper Kupp and Travis Etienne also found the end zone. A.J. Brown added 114 yards. The Dreamcats did have 146 yards and a touchdown by standout CeeDee Lamb, 73 yards in a score by Tony Pollard, and another beast game by quarterback Brock Purdy with his 314 passing yards and 4 touchdowns. The injury to Aaron Jones is still hurting the Cats, however. They can't seem to find a replacement. The Elite Mother Tuckers are now 7-6 and are currently 6th overall. But a win over risky business or a loss by Remember the Titans is needed to make the playoffs. The Dreamcats fall to 4-9 and are going to need to play in the consolation quarterfinals. In the Flatlands of Scal, we also have another division champion with Bandidos del Rio hosting Mygashkia Sloughs at the Deserts of Meklu and winning 111.1 to 85.12. This is the first career division title for Bandidos and the first ever first round bye for Bandidos, guaranteeing a trip to the semifinals. The Bandidos hasn't been there before, but congrats on that. Mike Evans had 162 yards and a 50-plus yard touchdown, and Deebo Samuel finished with 138 yards and 3 touchdowns, just beasting to lead Bandidos. Patrick Mahomes and Raheem Mostert also scored. Devon Achane had 103 yards and 2 touchdowns to actually outduel Mostert, which was a highlight. Jared Goff also had multiple scores, though did nothing in the second half. Devontae Smith finished with 96 yards and a touchdown as well. Bandidos is 9-4 and needs a win, a loss by the Stellar Bitches, or a loss by Green Acres to be the #1 overall seed. Mygashkia Sloughs are 4-9 and are destined to be in the consolation quarterfinals after an extremely disappointing season. The Clashhead Demon Head clinched a playoff berth with a 124.02 to 58.22 beatdown over Loki Lebowski Thor at the pastures of Fardora. Chuba Hubbard had 104 yards and 2 scores to easily outduel Miles Sanders, and Tua Tagovailoa had 280 yards and a couple of touchdowns with Josh Allen on a bye. Isaiah Pacheco added 123 yards and a score, and Jamar Chase had 149 yards and a 50-plus yard touchdown. Kicker Brandon Aubrey and the Jets defense combined for 28 points as well. Lebowski Thor didn't play a kicker, so he was deducted 5 points. Jalen Hurts finished with 298 passing yards and a couple of scores, and Evan Ingram made 82 yards and a score as the lone bright spots. The Clashhead Demon Head are now 8-5 and can finish as high as the #4 seed, but they're probably just excited about being in the playoffs again. Lebowski Thor is 3-10 and one of his worst seasons in his career. We're talking about 2-time champ Loki Lebowski Thor. Lastly, in the peaks of Ulk, Air Jordan hosted the Stellar Bitches at the Caves of Brone Diomir and continued to play well down the stretch, despite not having a chance at the playoffs anymore, picking up the 133.76 to 83.88 victory. Dak Prescott had 299 passing yards and 3 touchdowns, and Derrick Henry finished with 120 yards and 2 scores. Elvin Kamara added 109 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Michael Pittman collected 105 yards and a touchdown. Tank Dell was injured early in his game and is now on IR and out for the rest of the fantasy season. The Stellar Bitches had a rough week, but did get touchdowns by Baker Mayfield, Rashad White, and the Dolphins defense. Air Jordan is 6-7 and still has a shot at a consolation bye with a win next week. The Stellar Bitches fall to 8-5 and needs a win to claim the division title, but will most likely make the playoffs as a number 4 seed based on current tiebreakers, though that spot is not technically clinched. Things can still go against them. In the other game, remember the Titans hosted the multiple scoregasms with the Goff at the Highlands, but it was the multiple scoregasms who kept hope for a consolation bye alive, played spoiler a little bit, with a 119.62 to 79.34 win. Trevor Lawrence had 3 touchdowns but hurt his ankle. Damian Pierce added a touchdown. He's actually disappointed this year, but why not reach the end zone now? DeAndre Hopkins had 75 yards and a score, and Jake Ferguson and Amon-Ra St. Brown also scored. Nico Collins had a big day and led the scoregasms, 191 yards and a touchdown. Russell Wilson, David Montgomery, and Brandon Ayuk all scored for Remember the Titans. The big highlight was tight end Sam Laporta and his 140 yards and a touchdown, making that trade look pretty good. The multiple scoregasms are 6-7 and will clinch the consolation bye with a win, while Remember the Titans falls to 7-6 and needs to win the division title next week with a win, or will most likely miss the playoffs. We came real close to a super wild final week of the regular season, but in the end, we still have some fantastic matchups coming up. And, we also got who's going to be the number 1 overall seed. That's still up for grabs. Remember, only defending champion Lee Mothertuckers have won a Green Bowl as a top seed. Last season, he broke the curse, or so we think. In fact, they're the only team to even make a Green Bowl as the top seed. Is that curse still broken? Or will it take hold again? We might have teams rooting against themselves because of it. We'll see. Before you go, check out the league standings. We're getting close to the end here. Until next time, salut.